It's the Reckless Retiree here, and I'm trying out a new method to separate out the platinum from the material vacuumed up from Walmart parking lot. I got a microscope and I looked at the material under the microscope, and I could see that most of the material was not going to be platinum, and most of the material, even though it was filtered down to 100, was still pretty big. You could tell it was sand, silica, quartz, maybe glass particles. So the process I had been using from Cody's lab was to just mix that all with flux and then melting it, separating the metal out from the slag, then putting the metal in a cupel, absorbing out the lead, and then what was left was supposed to be the precious metals. But what I found was it was really, really hard to get all the lead out. This last time I thought I had all the lead out. I even got a test kit, thought it was platinum. But then I thought this is way too much material for platinum, so I hammered it out real thin, boiled it in nitric acid, and then poured off all the liquid and filtered out what was left. And I have some, then I melted that, and I got some little tiny dots of metal, but again, I don't know that they're platinum. Again, I tested them with the test kit. Again, it seems to be not lead, but platinum. And maybe it really is, you know, it's hard to tell. But anyway, the other method I was using was just taking the sample, the ore sample, and boiling it in nitric acid. Everything would dissolve but the platinum, and then taking what's left over and heating that up. But I added some borax to it, thinking I would lower the melting temperature. But I had a hard time melting it, even with the MAP gas oxygen torch. Although I was using the MAP gas oxygen torch with the modification for oxygen coming from an oxygen concentrator, which was very low amount comparative to the high pressure oxygen tank. And so I was getting a pretty high flame, but small. And so even with that, I was having a hard time melting it. So my next plan is to hook up my HHO cell to the furnace. So I'll have one jet or duct coming in as propane, one as air, and then one as hydrogen and oxygen. And I'm hoping that by doing that, I will bump up the temperature into the 3200 range and maybe melt the platinum more easily. But I was looking online and I was seeing about this blue bowl that they're using to separate out the flour gold, they call it. The really, really tiny particles of gold. And they were raving about this blue bowl, and this is what you're looking at now. Swirls that water around just the right way, everything's leveled up real nice, and it's supposed to leave just the super heavy particles, which in their case was gold. In my case, I hope is platinum. So I've done this a couple of times. I've used my snuffer bottle to suck out what was left. I then put it into this filtration unit here, and you can see that there is some dark matter on top of that. Sounds like my battery's going dead. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to stop and let the recharge the battery. and to proceed tomorrow. But anyway, my idea is to filter out about half of the material I got from the Walmart parking lot, and then look at that under the microscope, see if it looks like it would be platinum, what you'd think platinum would look like. Tiny little metallic, dark metallic particles. And then once I get enough of that, I'm going to take that filter paper, put it in a crucible, heat it up in the furnace, ideally with the HHO, and hopefully get it molten, and hopefully have nothing but platinum. So that's the dream at this point. You can see that well, you didn't see when I started, but quite a bit of the material is gone. What's really cool, and I don't know if you can see this now because the battery is going out, but see how the material is climbing up the side of the cone here. And then out the top, across the lip and into the bucket down below. So, some people say you should do this really, really slowly. The first few times I did it a lot faster, and just ended up with a slight little ring of material around the base of the cone, which looked like it was potentially platinum. I'll try cranking up on the flow with the valve here. Now what they say is you're supposed to, if you have filtered your material down to 100 size, you're supposed to have this edge of the water half an inch from the edge of the plastic. I'm having a hard time focusing, it looks like. And I'm easily an inch. You can see that, shoot. You can see the material climbing up. That is so cool. Look at it climb up. And that's the lighter material, and it's supposed to leave all the heavier material behind. And you can see there's a tiny edge of material right there at the base of the cone. And we're hoping it kind of looks like it would be platinum, silvery, metallic. And so I'll snuffer this out with a snuffer bottle and put it through the filter. And then next, look at it with the magnifying glass and see if it looks quite a bit different. I'm sure it'll look quite a bit different than the previous, the pure stuff to begin with. Okay, so come over here and disconnect the battery, the pump from the battery. And now, ouch! Now the flow should diminish. So what I'm doing now, I wonder what I did with the snuffer bottle. Oh, there it is over there on the plastic tote. So, take the plastic snuffer bottle and squeeze it, and then put it right where the material is on the edge, and then release it and move it with the material and hopefully suck it up. And then what I've been doing, because I'm afraid if I have to squeeze the water out of the bulb, and I'm afraid if this really fine material is suspended in the water and I haven't just let it sit and come out, that I'll lose the material. with the squeezing of the bottle. So I'm just taking the bottle and swirling it, and then slowly pouring it on the filter paper. I'm hoping I'm not pushing any over the edge of the filter paper and into the flask below. Now this is empty, and I can snuffer it again. I think with gold, you know, you don't have gold this fine when you're doing it gold, like dredging or panning along a river or something. So you would see the gold in your snuffer bottle, and so therefore I don't think you'd have a risk of losing it. Yeah, I think I can do one more snuff, especially if I do it better than I've been doing it, since I'm doing it one-handed with trying to film at the same time. Anyway, I'm going to finish doing this, then I'll let this drain overnight, and then tomorrow I will see what I have on the paper with the magnifying, the microscope, and hopefully it'll look like it would be platinum. If it looks good, then I'm going to put it in a crucible and melt it down. I have a new crucibles coming. I really want to do it in a brand new clean crucible, because the crucible I've been using, I did it with the flux, which had the lead in it, and I have little beads of metal clinging to the side of the inside of the crucible, but I think it may be lead. So anyway, with a new crucible, using this technique, there shouldn't be any lead. I mean, there might be some lead on a parking lot or on a road due to batteries, but probably not. Probably not much lead. And so any metal you should find, you would think would be a precious metal. Be platinum, because I mean, cars are blowing that platinum out the exhaust every day, all day long. So the dream is to capture it and to be able to do it economically. Of course, this is a tedious process here, but really doesn't cost a lot, where the flux technique costs a lot. You know, I mean, you've got all the flux components. This, all I would do is filter it out with the 100 hole filter, and then I would use this technique to get hopefully get the platinum, and then filter the water out with this, and then heat it. And if I have my high enough temperature, I should melt the platinum into a button. So there's the dream. We'll see if it comes through. Till next time.